Hello students, welcome to La Excellence. Welcome to our 16th weekly magazine where we'll be covering from 11th June to 17th June 2017. Here we will be considering those important facts which are important from prelims 2018 point of view and also those issues which are important from mains 2017 point of view as well. So it's very important for us to consider these two facts whenever we are reading the newspaper. So this magazine videos will be focusing on both 2017 mains and also 2018 prelims as well, right? So it's very important for you all to consider this fact. So whenever I'm talking about a mains oriented topic, I will be explaining few things in detail, but whenever it comes to prelims, I'll be showing you the factual information that is actually important for you. Then on the basis of few queries raised by students about the different programs that is being launched by La Excellence, there are few things that I want you people to consider before you actually look into these topics or these programs that we have given. That is, the first program that we have planned to launch is the mentorship program, where we will be having few grand tests. 4 grand tests will be there, and this will be focused on 4 GS papers, and then there will be 8 tests where each paper, that is 4 papers, will be divided into 2 topics or 2 parts. So there I'll be talking about, for example, if I take paper 1, right? So where I have history, social issues and geography, I will be covering history and some portions of social issues, and then this will be part 1. And there will be part 2 where I will be covering geography plus half of social issues again. So this will help me to read all the syllabus once, where in this 8 tests I will be covering the syllabus once, and then I will be going for grand tests. We also have planned to subdivide this. For example, when I take history, you have art and culture, you have freedom struggle, you have India's independence, that is from 1857 to 1947 as well. You have post-independence India and world history, right? 5 topics are there. Now what I'll do, I will take art and culture, and from 1757 to 1857. These 3 issues itself I will take, and I will try to make 5 questions on this. So you can answer these 5 questions as well. That is, what I'm trying to say here is simple. I will be having 4 grand tests where I will be covering paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4. And then each paper will be subdivided into 2 parts, and I will be having tests on them. So together I will get 12 tests. But to help students write more, what we will be doing is we will be dividing the papers further into 3 parts. So in total, you will be writing 12 tests plus, again each paper is divided into 3, where you will get another 12 tests. So in total, you will be writing around 24 tests. And we will be evaluating 12 tests for sure. And these 12 tests, whether to write or not, is based on your convenience. If you have time, you can write these tests. If not, you can leave. So the mentorship program is actually aimed at mains answer writing for 2017, where within this 3 months, how exactly you have to prepare, we will be focusing on that. Then our second program is actually on essay, where the main focus will be to give you introduction to essay, that is how exactly to write an essay. So we will be having 2 sessions dedicated for writing essays, and then there will be 4 tests on essay. So this will be a separate module where essay is completely segregated from the GS. So if you are interested in GS, you can join only mentorship program for GS. No sir, I want only essay. So you can join specifically for essay as well. These 2 programs are aimed at mains answer writing 2017 and optionals. We have medical science test series, we have anthropology test series, we have public administration test series. Medical science and public administration will be taken care by Rambabu sir. Anthropology will be taken care by Susin ma'am. Right? So, along with this, for those students who want anthropology classes online, even that is available for you guys. So anthropology online classes for optionals are also available. This is for both 2017 and 2018 aspirants. If you want to cover the syllabus completely, it would be easy for you to do so with the help of the online lectures as well. If you are not based in Hyderabad, or even though you are based in Hyderabad but you cannot attend classes, this will be helpful for you. And for 2018 students specifically, we have 2 more courses. One, we are actually focusing on the magazine based questions and answer writing improvement is actually for 2018 students. And the second important thing is we have skill development series where we will be focusing on improving the basics of the students on the basis of NCERTs. That is, we will take questions from NCERTs, micro level management, conceptual clarities, so that they can present their answer better in the exam. So skill development series with respect to NCERT books will be also taken up. So these 2 are actually aimed at 2018 aspirants. Current affairs will be covered with the help of Magazine, and your traditional subjects like history, polity, economy, geography will be covered with the help of the skill development series. So these 2 together will actually help you to improve your answer writing skill and also conceptual clarity for 2018 exam. And all these are available online, right? So guys, so these are some of the things that we have for you to look into this of registering. Laex.in/test prep. Our test series will be starting from July 7th. So please ensure that you register before this, and once the number of seats are over, we will not be in a position to help you for a simple reason that the number of faculties who will be evaluating it will be less. If more number of students come in, we won't be in a position to evaluate and give you quality answers. We have just started the course this year online, so we are focusing more on quality rather than the quantity. We will be having dedicated number of faculties who will be associated with this program, and based on their timings, we will be choosing the students so that a quality review of the answer sheets can be provided, and we can ensure that results are there or results are obtained from these candidates as well. Right guys? So after seeing into these issues, let us quickly look into what are the important events that actually happened in this particular week and why they are important for us from UPSC point of view. The first important issue which is required from prelims 2018 point of view, from environment and ecology point of view, is with respect to rhododendrons of eastern Himalayas. These rhododendrons, which actually means rose-like flowers, which are usually present right from the subtropical region to the polar region. If you look at the plants, even in the alpine regions with greater heights, with greater latitudes also, these are available. It is said that Arunachal Pradesh, where you have cold, moist climate, so with increasing height, the coldness increases, and also the moisture, that is rainfall, is usually more in this region. Due to this, we are usually observing that these rhododendrons are present in a significant number in Arunachal Pradesh. In India, if we observe, whether we take the case of Nilgiris or Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats in South India, or Western Himalayas to some extent, and also in the Eastern Himalayas, these rhododendrons are popularly found. When I'm talking that it is associated with subtropical region, then I mean to say subtropical in the southern region will be with height. That is, on the mountainous regions, you usually find these rhododendrons. These rhododendron species can be called as endemic species in India, mainly because some species are present only in India and they are not present anywhere else. So it is very, very important for us to look into what exactly rhododendrons are and how exactly these are associated with different climatic patterns, and at the same time in India where these are present. So as I told you, rhododendron literally means rose tree in Greek. Found in the region with 18 species endemic to India alone. It is found in various habitats from subtropical which extends almost at around 23.5 degree north or south, to alpine shrubs which you can see with increasing altitude or latitude, and rhodons range from dwarf shrubs to larger trees. The meaning of this is they can be present with smaller heights or they can be present in large trees as well. There are 132 taxa not required, right? In India alone you find 132. Of which 129 are found in northeastern India alone. The other 3 species name is given here, but that is not so important for us to remember specifically because these names will not be usually asked in UPSC. Then you can observe that it is Arunachal Pradesh which is home to highest number of species. The small state of Sikkim also has more, with Manipur, Mizoram and Nagaland also seeing some species of rhododendrons. The eastern Himalayas are regarded as one of the centers of diversity for this. The Sikkim Forest Department and Sikkim Rhododendron Society have identified 9 ecosystems which are famous for this, and they are also planning to protect this. So what is actually problem? Scientists have said that there is need for conservation of this, especially those of epiphytic species which actually grow on other plants. They are vulnerable mainly because of the loss of the host trees. Within high altitude areas where you have rhododendrons, they are routinely cut for firewood by the local people. Especially when they use for firewood, the usage will be more, and this leads to large number of these species being extinct, right? The endemic from Manipur and Nagaland is one of the most critically endangered species in India. So it's very, very important for us to look into these issues. So usually these issues, whenever they ask, it will be common for almost all the things, and especially they may ask you with respect to mains, but from prelims point of view, you should be aware that rhododendrons are basically found in northeastern parts of India within India, right? So then we have actually seen 2 important map points which are important for you from prelims point of view. One is with respect to Catalonia, which is near Spain, And this was in news mainly because these people were asking for independence and Spain has actually rejected it. Sports is one of the most important thing of this particular community. Barcelona, the famous football team, is actually from this particular place. The famous city of Barcelona is actually present here. Then the second important one is actually with respect to Bosphorus Strait, which is near Turkey. And this is also important because the Russian intelligence naval ships actually traversed in this particular strait. So this is in news. So they may ask you Bosphorus Strait is in which country. So it's important for you to look into this particular aspect as well. The next important issue from mains point of view and also prelims point of view is with respect to the Tele Law Initiative, which is being taken by the central government, especially by the Ministry of Law and Justice and with MEITY, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. These two ministries have come together and they have established what is called as Tele Law. What exactly does that mean? For example, if there is a person in a rural area and he wants some suggestion, legal advice from any lawyers, voluntary organizations or so, this communication will actually help to connect the rural people with the lawyers or the voluntary groups or NGOs which are working to provide advice to the rural people. So what will happen? There will be an intermediary. There will be some voluntaries who will be hired by the government. So these volunteers, first the person, a farmer will call to this particular volunteer and he will explain his problem. The volunteer will tell everything to the lawyer and the lawyer will give his suggestions, or if it is not satisfactory, then the farmer can directly talk to the lawyer and whatever suggestions he gives, it may not be clearly understood by the farmer because the farmer doesn't know the legal language. So what happens, this volunteer who is there in between, he will actually guide the farmer in helping what exactly he should be doing. So the legal advice to the rural people is being achieved with the help of this particular communication, that is Tele Law. Right? It's very, very important for you to look at this because we say that when we are talking about financial inclusion and all, we usually say that we need to ensure that the financial services reaches to the poorest of the poor who are staying in the rural areas. At the same time, when we talk about judicial inclusion, then we need to ensure that this will reach to the rural areas as well. So before taking any action or if they want any help, then this will be helpful, and they have told that it will be monitored so that the lawyers doesn't give fake advices. Sometimes they ask them to put cases so that they become litigants for them, so even that needs to be avoided. So the government has said that what is this legal advice, even that will be taken care of. Right? So this is with respect to Tele Law and this factual information about this, what exactly it is. And there will be certain common services centers. A place where this interaction can happen is actually considered to be common service centers, where I told you the volunteers will be provided, where government is aiming to empower or provide training to the women, especially in the rural areas, so that they can act as volunteers who act as intermediaries between the people in the rural areas and the lawyers as well. After saying this, the next important issue that we have from international relations is actually with respect to India and Russia. Prime Minister Modi recently visited Russia, so this has become very, very important for India and Russia. It is important to see India and Russian relationship in a growing international relations where after 1990, when the USSR disintegrated, India's relationship with Russia has also modified a lot. Though it has not reduced, India has cautiously tried to build good relations not only with erstwhile USSR countries, but we also have good relations with the Western countries, especially US and European Union. Earlier, that is till 1990, our focus was mainly towards Russia. And from 1990 onwards, there are significant changes that happened in India and also significant changes that happened in Russia. If we see 1990 onwards, India entered into liberalization, privatization and globalization, where consciously through disinvestment approaches, India tried to ensure that its economy is stabilized and it is not dependent only on any particular source or any particular country alone. Whereas when we look at Russia, Russia doesn't have lot of small and medium industries. Most of its industries are large scale, which are actually under the control of the Russian government. Still now, we usually see some sort of the government control over most of the reserves and resources which are present in Russia. And Russia's one of the major economy or economic source is oil and natural gas. And Russia used to export this natural gas to European Union. And when Russia was actually exporting this through Black Sea, when the Ukraine crisis actually happened, that is, there is a small place by name Crimea in Ukraine. And this particular place had some disputes. Entire Ukraine had disputes. And Russia wanted to take back this Crimea. There was referendum held in Crimea, and when this referendum was held, majority of the people in Crimea voted in favor of Russia. Crimea actually became part of Russia. But most of the Ukraine people at that time, they were against it and they started moving closer to European Union and United States. Due to this particular fact, there was sanctions on Russia by European Union and United States. Russia actually realized that if I am dependent on Crimea or if I am dependent on European Union, then the problem is in future they may play the game. So I have to stop selling or reduce selling to European Union, and I have to divert my attention or my reserves to other countries. One major country which was willing to purchase and which has the capacity to purchase is China. So Russia and China inked a deal worth $400 billion where they are planning to have pipeline connectivity from Western Russia to Western China, and they also have connectivity from Eastern Russia to Eastern China. Through this, the relationship between Russia and China is increasing. And Russia is always interested about Afghanistan, mainly because one of the major reasons for the demolition of USSR is said to be Afghanistan. And Russia is still interested in Afghanistan, and for this they need Pakistan at any cost. Because of this relations, Pakistan, China and Russia are coming closer. And this is not seen in a good gesture by India. Russia did not vote against Pakistan when it came to Shanghai Cooperation Organization, BRICS, or even in the Heart of Asia Summit when India raised objections over Pakistan. Russia did not speak anything. Many international analysts at this point of time, they felt that India and Russia relationship is not going in a proper way. And Russia is moving closer to China and Pakistan as India is moving closer to United States. So this one main reason which majority of the people think is very, very important for us to build relations, and Modi's visit to Russia was important because of this reason as well. Rest is very simple. India plans to improve its relations by ensuring that we provide some alternative routes to Russia to sell its oil to India, LNG to India, so that its dependence is not solely on China. And if Russia can increase its dependence on India as well, then it would be a win-win situation for Russia and India as well. So India has planned for north-south transport corridor, which actually moves from Russia to Azerbaijan to Iran. Through Chabbar port, it can actually come to India as well. So Iran is very, very important for us to connect with Russia. So we have to ensure that Russia has good relations with Iran as well. So we can come together and ensure that the alternative route to one belt, one road or Russia-China connectivity can be reduced with the help of north-south transport corridor as well. Right? So these are some of the important political information that is required for us to understand Indo-Russian relationship. Apart from this, the other topics are very easy to understand, where you have to look into the factual information, that is 30% of India's oil and gas comes from Russia with reasonable price. That is, the prices are at a lower level when compared to other countries. ONGC Videsh Limited has equity shares in Sakhalin oil and gas fields. If you have Atlas, you can see this. This is in the eastern part of Russia, especially the extreme eastern border of Russia. You can see the Sakhalin oil fields. Russia is major country cooperating with energy on nuclear energy as well. You might have heard of Kudunkulam projects, and recently there are protests against these projects, and mostly the IB has reported that the NGOs who are actually involved in these are being funded by the US or other European Union countries. So this is the reason many people say, why only Russian projects are being targeted for nuclear energy and why not other projects? So Russia had also raised concerns that wherever Russian investments are happening, these NGOs are trying to spoil it to reduce Russia's growth. So given these conditions, the IB had also said that some of these NGOs are actually threatening India's growth, and India's GDP is also being affected. The government, whether it was Manmohan Singh government or the present government, had put some restrictions on funding from the foreign companies or governments to ensure that these NGOs doesn't act as puppets in the hands of these people as well. Then whenever we talk about defense relationship, there is no other country which has very good relations with India apart from Russia, especially when it comes to giving technology whichever India requires. Whether it is with respect to the cruise missile, BrahMos, or India's any requirement in defense, Russia is the one which usually considers India's demand quickly. But now India has also been closer to United States and also Israel. Whichever Russia sells to China, because of its closeness to China, India is not willing to purchase those. But the problem is, Russia may sell those weapons which it is not selling to India to Pakistan as well. India requires some technological things, especially with respect to defense, which India is looking at Israel, as Russia do not have the required technology. Because of these divergences, there is some friction in relationship between India and Russia. Then at last, if we ask, why is Russia important for us? Russia is important mainly because of the historical relations, economic relations, defense relation, cultural relations, and any problem to India at any time, Russia will be there. So it's very, very important for India to ensure that we sustain this relationship so that we don't have any issues in future. Right? So to sustain the relationship and also to help Russia to come out of its economic sanctions, it is very, very important for India to improve its economic ties with Russia. Then from prelims point of view, there is a naval exercise, OS Index, As the name itself says, Australia-India exercise. It is between Australia and India. No need to remember which naval ships were involved. If you can just remember, it is between India and Australia navies. It's enough. Then the next important issue from both mains and prelims. When I say mains, this year, if you look at the questions in prelims, they are actually focusing on those areas which are not so important, or which we used to feel is not so important when it comes to some things with like Asia Pacific, urban development and all. If we actually look at the pattern of the questions in mains as well, last year and even in 2015, some questions were actually associated with some organizations which are not so important. But if we actually go through that, there is significant amount of time that is spent by Indian diplomats in those particular issues as well. So India wants to spread its soft power, and it wants to develop relations not only with the developed world, but we also have plans to have good relations with the least developing countries as well. And India's soft power has always helped India to counter any of these developed countries whenever it comes to WTO or UNFCCC. One such organization which is actually focusing on South-South cooperation under the aegis of United Nations is United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation. India and this particular office actually promoted or developed a fund. And this fund is to ensure that there is sustainable development in all the developing countries, especially the least developed countries and underdeveloped countries. And initially the focus is on the Pacific Rim countries. So here two things can come. One, the question can come about India and UNOSSC fund, and the second one can be actually with respect to the Pacific Island countries, with which India is actually having good relations nowadays. India has planned to ensure that the 17 Sustainable Development Goals is achieved by these developing countries as well, and for that it has created a fund so that this fund will be used initially to ensure that there will be early warning systems in the Pacific Island countries, especially with respect to climate change. Once they have this early warning system clearly, they will be able to fight against any disasters which these countries are prone to first. Later, India will be helping them to resolve some other sustainable development issues as well, right? So guys, here two things that are important for us is UNOSSC and also Pacific Island countries. In science and technology, one important issue with respect to defense is the successful test of NAG, which is an anti-tank guided missile. It is fire and forget anti-tank guided missile, which is important for our fight during war times to counter these tanks of other countries as well, right? So it's important for you to know the name. They may just ask you what is NAG. At that time you should be knowing that it is anti-tank guided missile. This year, with respect to Aadhaar, especially collecting information by the government, there is one more issue which is related to this, that is actually with respect to big data. The meaning of big data is when you have lot of information which is available, data is available, and you need a specific tool to actually analyze these data and store this data. Large amount of data is there. For example, India's 1 billion populations, iris, fingerprints, their names, photos, everything is available. Now, how to manage this? How to use this? So this is what we call big data analysis. If we have more data and if we have to analyze it, then it is important for us to ensure that this big data analysis takes place properly. Whether it is with respect to merchant vendors, GST when it comes into picture, or any data that is available. And also when you want to share data with different departments also, it is important for you to ensure that this big data analysis takes place properly. So this is also in news. Just ensure that you know about this big data analysis, and in science and technology, they may ask you a question about this. What are the benefits of this to the government? Then some of the significant benefits are: it helps in solving traffic problems in the cities by knowing where exactly the vehicles are moving, how it is moving, how signals needs to be changed, targeting healthcare delivery, right? How many people, what diseases, what medicines, efficient supply chain management, whether it is PDS or anything, preventive steps required for environmental protection, anything which is actually associated with the data. You might have seen nowadays we are looking at certain portals, right? We see e-Pathshala, where we are actually looking at some books materials available. We are talking about online courses. We are talking about apps where government is actually talking about how many schools have been enrolled, how many are registered, and which school is good, what are the information or what are the facilities available, infrastructure available, whether it is associated with soil health cards, how much loans can be given to these people. Anything of this data when we have, analyzing that is very, very important. Whether it is with respect to job creation, natural disasters, water storage, supplying water, wherever huge data is available, there big data analysis will be important. At Max, UPSC will ask you what is big data and what is its role in governance. At that point of time, you have to talk about these issues. There are several countries which has already used this big data, especially in the European countries. But one of the major issues which we have to be conscious and which people are fighting in India and across the world is with respect to data privacy, where many people question, yes, you can store the data. Is big data safe? Can it be hacked? Can these information be available for outsiders? And what is the impact of this on India or on the people is what we need to understand with respect to the big data as well. So privacy issue needs to be taken care, where the government has to formulate proper policies to ensure that the privacy issues is not an issue when it actually comes to big data analytics. And this, if it can be ensured through proper formulation of policies, then there won't be any problem for the government to go ahead with this, and even the NGOs and others may support if there is enough restrictions in leakages of these information. At last, we have given you the case study. Please try to answer it. So guys, we are receiving very few answers. Maybe you're not out of the prelims mood yet. People, whoever have registered, there are more number of students who have registered, right? So please start writing and send it to us. We will evaluate it properly and give it back. Fine. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching.